G'day guys, just coming at you with another regular video, trying to upload at least one per week, whether it be a debrief or one of these videos where I'm sort of breaking down more of a specific topic. So today something that I've been thinking about and also throughout the whole week is fasting and then the relationship between silence and fasting. Now, if you listen to episode 18 of the Fit for the Kingdom podcast, which I'll link to below. It was one that I just released with myself and my brother Nico, where we broke down the 3 pillars of the interior life, which is silence, solitude, and discipline. But more specifically, I wanted to talk about silence and fasting because people have this, I don't know, they think of like, okay, provided I've got 30 or 60 minutes of silent prayer, that's all the silence I need. And like, then you just go out into the world and you're running head first. There's stuff happening, business, family, gym, wife, bang, 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 bang. And you would say, despite you had that initial moment of silence, which is very important. And I mean, if you've got that, that's already very good. But I think there's another type of silence, which is a silence of the passions, a silence of the senses, a silence of the heart. I mean, St. John of the Cross probably would say it was like the dark night of the senses and the dark night of the soul. But not to get too ahead of myself, I saw this tweet on X, and it's this guy called DR22, Dejaru22, and he was talking about how currently right now in the modern world that a lot of people struggle with like brain fog, mental clutter, and they really don't have any kind of silence in their lives. And this is what he said. I'll read it out to you. This post is resonating with a lot of people, many theories in the comments speculating to the cause. In reality, if you feel disconnected from your intuition, and it's as if there's a cloud of fog preventing your brain from working, this is because you are cluttered and in dire need of spring cleaning. Detox. You do realize some drugs take months before they're completely out of you and stop slowing your brain down, right? And then he says, until you feel your brain is back, drink only tea and water, delete social media, especially if you've developed the habit of aimlessly scrolling, fast from constantly listening to music, fast from food for 48 hours out of every week like clockwork, cardio and sauna daily, time in nature, etc. He goes on to talk about diet and a few other supplements, but I wanted to focus on this first part. For me personally, despite having a strong life of discipline in the gym and in prayer, a couple of years ago, the one thing that kind of really grounded me in my interior life and grounded me in my faith was cultivating intentional silence. And this was silence from social media, whether or not I deleted them or focused on just posting and not consuming. Silence from constantly listening to music or podcasts. And especially, I guess people have never made the connection between silence and fasting, but when you just stop eating. So right now what I'm doing Wednesdays and Fridays fasting, but on first Fridays, I'll do the whole 24-hour day. So I won't eat anything on Friday. I'll just have a black coffee and tea, and then I'll eat the Saturday morning. And that's really hard for me. It's actually something I struggle to maintain, and I feel really weak. But yesterday, which was first Friday, that intense level of fasting, it brings a silence to my soul and to my mind that I cannot replicate otherwise. It's very difficult for me to replicate because you've just quieted and calmed down the body so much. 100% I'm not eating anything for the rest of the day, so you know that there's not going to be any consolation of that sort coming. It really just allows you to turn inside and focus on that interior life and that unity with the passion of Christ, because all of a sudden, okay, I'll go to work, I'll eat, I've got my schedule, I'm feeling hungry, I'll eat some more, I need this energy. You just sort of place pause on that. So even though you're going to work and even though you're doing the other things, this massive essential thing that we depend on daily, It takes a lot of time. It's a big consolation. You know, I love my food. When you just delete that, your mind and soul just enters like a different phase. And that's what I really want to stress with this video, is that, as I talked about in my Q4 lock-in, there's an element of silence which I think is non-negotiable as a man to gain clarity about yourself and your life. But I think when you combine this silence with fasting, the silence, fasting from listening to music, fasting from food, fasting from social media, only tea and water, that fasting of the body, that silence of the body, I think it works wonders for our spiritual life. And I think mentally is really where you can see those benefits as well. You know, on normal Fridays, even though I'm having dinner, like in the afternoon, I feel so mentally acute, and like my creativity is up, my clarity is up. I can do a lot of creative work. There's something there that when you deprive the body, it's like the mind and soul can kick into gear. And I guess it's really that common trope across spirituality and just general philosophy, like you read the Stoics, that I think for any man to really progress and move forwards in his intellectual life, in his spiritual life, in his life of virtue, in every single one of these pursuits, there has to be a quieting, a subduing, and a mastering of the senses. And I think all of that, you could be, you know, training as hard as you want in the gym, reading all of these books. There's a level of, as I said, this level of self-mastery and denying of the flesh that comes with fasting, which I think is just, I haven't found it anywhere else. You know, I take cold showers and all of that. I don't find them particularly challenging, but fasting, like that's really where it happens. And I mean, we can see the Catholic Church, it's the only mortification that it mandates and still has a part of its general rule of life for Christians is fasting. There's nothing else. There's no, you know, what would you say? What are some other mortifications? They're not coming to mind, but like there's no rules around cold showers or, you know, physical exercise and stuff. There's only fasting. And I think that really speaks to the truth that its powerfulness, of how powerful it is as a habit and as a practice. Anyway, I'm rambling on a bit, but silence from exterior noise, silence from people, silence from attractions and passions, and we can really help build that and help work towards that and help understand that through fasting. All right, God bless.